Good morning! Today's YouTube video is all about creating a plan from that big idea, from that big action point on your to-do list, without you running off at a million miles an hour and feeling disheartened when things don't go right, without forgetting elements of the things that you need to do and feeling like you just didn't get it quite right, and without it feeling hugely overwhelming. Let's go have a look. So today we are talking about how to plan and execute a project, an idea, something on your to-do list, whatever it might be. What I often see is people fall into one of two camps. They either have this amazing idea and off they sprint and they run away with it and they're so excited by it, and that's brilliant, right? It's brilliant to have an idea or a project that you are ridiculously excited by. That's a good thing. But in doing so, what they are doing is probably making it more difficult for themselves. They're probably going the hard way about executing the project. They might miss things, and it is all very kind of fly by the seat of your pants-ish. And whilst, the universe loves action, and, the action is all of the ability to actually make a difference, you have to take the action. You want to make sure that the action that you're taking is action that is going to be the path of least resistance, that is going to be done in the way that is easiest, that you're not going to miss bits, that you're going to feel like actually you've got a bit of a structure to work to. And when you just run off, then you can make things more difficult for yourself. I've done it. Come on, who hasn't done it? If you have never ever made things more difficult for yourself, then tell me in the comments, because I would love to meet you. We are, as humans, naturally inclined to make things more difficult for ourselves because we believe that they should be hard. We believe that they need to be more difficult than they actually do. And that's BS, really, because what we need to look at, and we always need to look at, is simple but significant. The second camp is the camp that falls into the fact that they are looking at the project and they're massively overwhelmed by the project. Now, what I see happening is that people will have an idea, or they'll look at a project that they want to work on, or whatever it might be, and they'll go, feels really big, don't know where to start. I've got so much to do that I don't know where to start. There are so many elements that I need to think about, and I don't know where to start. This could be about building your business generally. This could be about looking at your to-do list. This could be about a particular project. Both things still apply. What happens is we either 10 to the dozen, nose to the ground, run, and look at potentially missing bits, potentially not quite getting it as right as we would like to, potentially going about it the hard way, potentially even burning out before we've got the project done. So that can happen. And the second thing that can happen is that it can feel huge. It can feel massive. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel like the biggest thing in the whole wide world. And what we need to do instead is we need to look at being able to plan and execute a project without it becoming a big deal in either camp, without it becoming something that is going to distract you from other work that also needs to be done, that is going to not take up every breathing moment of your day, because you've still got your business to run, you've still got other things that are happening in the world, whether that is as simple as putting the bins out and doing the school run, or whether that is actually looking after your clients, showing up for your social media, all of the other stuff that needs to happen. What we need to be able to do is create a project plan that we're going to execute. Now, I am not one for planning the ass off stuff. I am not one for micromanaging my work myself and being really strict. And this is talking about creating a plan that is simple but significant, that looks at the path of least resistance, and that allows you to execute it with joy, flow and ease, because that's what we all want. We don't want to create plans that never see the light of day. That happens so often. People get into, this time of year and they plan, depending on when you listen to this, I'm recording this in January, and feel like they need to have the far end of everything planned to the most minuscule of detail. That isn't what we need to do. But the first thing that we need to do is not have anything that is overwhelmingly large on our to-do list. So when we look at our to-do list, now this is a simple tip and it might be one that you dismiss, but it is one that people do forget to do, me included every now and again. What we need to do is we need to look at the things that we've put onto our list of what we need to do that are these overarching huge tasks. And it might be, create a course. It might be get your website sorted. It might be get a social media strategy. It might be sort out freebies. What that is a huge task. And there's no specificity in that task. There's no action steps in that task. And it feels huge. So yeah, you might, get your nose to the ground and run off all guns blazing, but you've got no structure in where you're going with it. You've got no decision path on what you need to be doing and what happens next. And, when we run off and we have this really hyper kind of energy going into something, that can end up going, oh, if you then don't get that hyper return on productivity, output and reaction from your audience, you can end up feeling really disheartened. Or you can look at that task and go, oh my God, that is just so massive. I'm just going to leave that. And then it just gets left and it becomes a task that's probably sat on your list for an awful long time. Something that's become a beast. It's become a huge monster. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to look at, right, okay, so we've got this overarching task. What would it take for me to, whatever it is, build my list, to get a new website, to launch a new course, to whatever it is. The one question to ask yourself to start before you even think anything else is, what would it take for me to? Now this is then going to allow you to create micro detail. So what would it take for me to bring together, sort out my freebies? So number one might be review freebies that you already have. Look at sign up rates, look at conversion rates, look at, how that freebie has impacted your crowd. Look at any feedback that you've had from that freebie and do a real overall assessment of each individual freebie that you currently have available. That might be, the first step, but that is a lot of different micro steps again. So we're going to look at, right, okay, so if I'm going to review my freebies, what will that take for me to review my freebies? So I'm going to need to have a look at the data. I'm going to need to have a look at the landing page. I'm going to need to look at any feedback I've received. I'm going to need to look at the sign-up sequence behind it. I'm going to need to look at the impact that it had on my crowd and, how I've felt generally about that. I'm going to need to look at how well I've promoted that freebie. So lots of people will tell me that, they're not getting the sign-ups that they want, etc., etc. But it might just be that when you look at it in the cold light of day, that freebie hasn't had any airtime. That freebie hasn't had any promotion. That freebie hasn't been talked about at all. So having, that one step of then I'm going to review the freebies I've already got, has then created a number of different activities for you to look at. Again, this might feel overwhelming, but knowledge is power. When you actually look at what you need to be thinking about, you get the ability to create tasks. And task-based planning and looking at where you're going to allocate those tasks in terms of time, effort, energy and attention then allows you to be able to work through something without it becoming a distraction to your focus in your business, allowing it to become something that you can actually plan into the diary, allowing it to be something that you can actually see through. Because, when you then look at putting those tasks in the diary, so you might take a week to review the freebies that you've already got, and all of those little tasks might get half an hour a day. So then you put in your half an hour a day. And often, you know, when we are working on our business, you know, we can have this whole, we shouldn't be spending the time working on our business, and client work takes over and da 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 da. But if you said, right, the first half an hour of every day, I worked on my business and I started to work through that list, that first 30 minutes of the day when I'm fresh, I'm productive, I'm ready to go, nothing's spoiling, I'm not, you know, feeling like I'm in a panic because time's short because it's right at the beginning of my day. You know, you can start to create momentum with really small pockets of time. So for some people it might be, I'm going to spend half a day on this, but for other people it might be just, you know, half an hour. So look at your diary, realistically look at your diary, and look at where you can start to input into your own work, and you can start to create, you know, take those actions that you're creating from the what would it take for me to exercise, and then start to diary them into your plans. Start to give yourself that opportunity to take a little bit of time and work through it methodically and logically, and also feel like you're not neglecting other things. Also feel like, you know, you're not wasting time because you sat there going, now what, now what, now what, now what. You have a logical list to start to work through. So if I'm, you know, creating a project like, you know, sort out your freebies, the first thing would be that review of the freebies. Then what would it take for me to review the freebies? The next one might be, what are my crowd looking for right now? And then that might be a brainstorming exercise. So I might set aside half an hour with a cup of tea to do a bit of a brainstorm around the topics and things that I could create right now that would help and support people to take that next step and do take that sign up. What would I want my sign up pages to look like? And then I could do some sign up page research. Then I could do, what would it take for me to create the new freebie? And it gives me then a really logical path to follow. I don't have to have this one task sat on my list that feels huge, that feels massive, that feels like I need to put so much time into it, that feels like I don't even know where to start with it. You know, the big question is, what would it take for me to? And then add in those action steps. Then diary those action steps into your calendar, whether you use a physical planner, whether you use an online calendar. Start to allocate time to working on those tasks, rather than when you get spare time suddenly going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Having tasks written down and allocated into your diary is fantastic, but also you've then got that master to-do list. So if you do get 5 or 10 minutes during the day, instead of wasting your time doing the Facebook scroll, or Instagram scroll, or whatever it is that, you know, is your go-to little bit of waste of time, then you will be able to take a task off that list and do it. You know, the amount of things that I've done when I've had that whole, it's only 10 minutes until the school run, I could just mess about, but actually I could just do that one thing. Do that one thing off that tasks list, because we don't have to create space to work on a project in its entirety. We can take out those tasks and we can start to work on those tasks, and that will gain momentum, rather than feeling like we've got to wait till we've got a whole free week, or, you know, 2 free days, or whatever it is that, you know, you're telling yourself, and giving yourself that chance to build the layers on top of the layers on top of the layers. So when you are looking at planning and executing, I want you to be able to train yourself to go, that's a huge task, what would it take for me to? And each element of that to-do list, what would it take for me to do that? So it could be, you know, create new imagery for my website. Right, how many new images? How many blogs is that? How many things do I have to create images for? Instead of having this huge, burdensome task sat on your shoulders, let's look at how you can break those tasks down into micro tasks so that you can start to take action, do the thing, and not sit with so much feeling heavy on your shoulders. So that's what you need to do if you're looking at any planning. I told you it's simple, totally simple, but the significance of this is that having that task-based list of actually what do I need to do allows you to start to do the thing. You know, once you start to tick off a list, that's really cathartic, number one. and really motivating, number 2, because you want to tick more things off the list. Having the list allows you not to waste as much time, because when you do get that slither of time, you can take something else off that list. And also, it is about having the control over the project rather than feeling like the project is controlling you. So I hope that's been super helpful. I would love you to pop a comment in the comments here on YouTube, and also to make sure that you are subscribed by that little bell. There's a subscription button just up here. You can get subscribed up here, and hit the little bell and you'll get notifications when the weekly Rockstar YouTube video lands every Thursday. Have an absolutely ace and epic day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!